All right, this is NoodleTools, and this is the most highly recommended note-taking tool and also source selection tool, not selection, source documentation tool for research projects. If you have never used it, you will need to register for your account. And when you do that, make sure that you are choosing an account linked to our school library. And actually, my information should not be showing up here. If you were doing this, you would enter Flintridge and the password is Tolog to link to our account. But I'm going to go log into my account and show you how to use it. So you can see here that I have a couple of projects created from past years, and I'm going to open some of those up and show you what this looks like. You can also see that I have some inboxes where students have shared with me their projects. If we look at some of the projects from previous years, and I want to show you how this looks when it's completed, and then I want to show you how to use it. What are the advantages of using NoodleTools? Well, there are a couple of things. So let's look at one of these projects from a student from a couple years ago. And you can see that the student has recorded her research questions here, which is great for her and for her research advisor in terms of referring back to what the focus of the paper is. And there are a couple of things. She's shared it with me, etc. And so there are two major features. There's the sources feature, where she has created the citation for her sources and also written an annotation where she summarizes its usefulness. And along with that, there is the note card feature, and you can see she's created 2 notes that go with this source, and 1 note that goes with her second source, and 15 notes that went with this source. And so as she takes notes and begins to build her paper, NoodleTools allows her to organize everything together and allows me, her advisor, to view everything. So why the note card method? The note card method is a really wonderful way to keep track of your notes, and let me see if I can get, there we go, view all of her notes, because it's an organizational method. So let's look at this pile that she's created that has 10 note cards in it. When I look at those individual note cards, I can open each one. And what you'll notice is that the note card has a title that she's given it to remind her what that note is. It links to the source, and then she has a direct quote that she has taken from the source. She has paraphrased that to make sure she really understands what the source is telling her, and then she adds her original ideas to that note card. These are all of the things that she's going to use later to create an outline for her paper, right? This allows her to keep track of what she's been studying. And so you can see that in this pile she's created called Definitions of Rape, she has all of these different note cards, and I can then look at each one, right? So here they are, one by one, all of these different notes that she's taken. This is really cool. And then she can organize them in different ways. Let me get rid of that. She can control click, on the pile and move things around. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Okay, maybe not. Maybe she can't. She can change the organization of her note cards, and it's not allowing me to do it because I am not her. So I will show you that feature when I create a project for myself. So like I said, it's an organizational feature. So you have your notes in one place, you have your sources in one place, and you have your annotations in one place. So let's go back to my projects, and I'll show you how this would work on your end. So if I'm in my projects, here is a project I started. Let's convert it to the MLA 8th edition, which is awesome. Thank you, NoodleTools, for making that super easy for me. All right, so here we go. Here are my research questions. And here are my sources, okay? And there's one of them that's annotated. They're not all annotated. Note that it tells me what type of media it is. And here are my note cards. So I can manipulate my notes in a number of ways. I can edit this note card, and this is what it looks like when you're creating a note card. I've added the title. I've linked it. All of my sources are here, so I've linked it to my source. I've copied and pasted my direct quotation. I could put it in my own words, although I hadn't yet. And then I just have my thought. Here's my actual note on this quote, right? One note card equals one note. I've also, since it's a print source, I've indicated the page number that this quote came from, right? So there you have that. I can also add a comment to my note card. This might be a comment that helps me remember to do something, follow up on something. I'm going to cancel that. We don't need that. Go away. So I can also add a tag. So notice that there's this orange dotted line around here. That's because I control-clicked. I can add a tag. So I can say this one needs to be red because I don't know, because I need to pay more attention to it, or maybe it's blue because it goes in a certain category. I can say, oh boy, this needs further research. I better look at this again, or this is a super important one. I can tag it with a subject term, like a tag, sort of a hashtag kind of idea that I have created these tags, and then I can put these things together into different piles. So how do I add a source? Here's what I do. Let's say I want to create a new citation. First, I tell NoodleTools what my item is. So let's say I went to a speech, or maybe I listened to a radio program, or let's say I was listening to NPR, and on my drive in, and I listened to a radio program. I can then put in the contributor. Right? So let's say who was the host of the program. Let's say it was Ira Glass from This American Life. I can say the episode was called, I don't know, the Prison Project. Right? If I know the episode number and season number, which I should, I can look this up. Let's say it's season 6, episode 2. Right? It's radio. It's called This American Life is the name of the series. Some of these things I don't have to include. The network was Chicago Public Radio. The date that I heard it. And I don't need to put my annotation in here yet, but I will probably want to do that later. And then I submit. And then I have this new citation. Let's go find it. Where is it? There it is. There's the citation I just created, right? And I can edit it, copy it, delete it. I can look at what my in-text citation will need to be, right? So the end of my sentence here in my paper is this, the title of the episode, and then I would have to have the timestamp. So that's what I would add, right? A time or a time range. So let's say I had, 22 minutes and 35 seconds. That's what my citation would become. That is very helpful. So then if I took notes on this, I can go create a new note card, and I can say that they were talking about, I don't know, Alcatraz. I'm going to connect it to the correct source. I might not have a direct quotation because perhaps listening to the radio makes that difficult. So here I'm going to summarize and say, oh, I wonder about this, and I better follow up on this, and this makes me think about this, and these are all my connections. And then I'm going to save it. And then I have a new note card that is right over here. And I can then move it around. I can put it in a pile. So now I just dragged it into this pile. I can expand that pile. I can move that, drag it back out of the pile, and I can move my notes around and get them organized. So NoodleTools is really very, very powerful tool. It is the tool that I recommend you use for the JRP for sure. You are not required to, but I think that you will be really, really happy if you do. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.